Hey, what's going on, everybody? Before we dive into the absolute chaos that just went down in Cleveland, I need your help. We're pushing hard to hit that 1,000 subscriber milestone, and honestly, we can't do it without you. If you're enjoying the content, the breakdowns, the real inside stories that nobody else is talking about, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's build this thing together and get to 1,000. Alright, let's get into it. So look, we need to talk about what happened in Cleveland on Sunday night, because this is legitimately one of the wildest situations I've seen unfold in years. We're talking about a complete implosion of the quarterback room, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this thing went nuclear. The Browns just lost to the Steelers, and inside that visiting locker room at Heinz Field, something happened that's going to change everything for this organization. Word is getting out from multiple people who were actually in that room, and what they're describing is absolutely insane. Shedeur Sanders, the 5th round pick, apparently walked right up to Dillon Gabriel, the 3rd round starter, and called him out in front of the entire team. Not screaming, not going crazy, just cold, calculated, and absolutely brutal. This wasn't some emotional rookie losing his cool. This was a statement, a power move, and everyone in that building knows exactly what it means. Let me paint the picture here, because context matters. The Browns just got embarrassed on national television against their division rival. Dillon Gabriel threw 3 more interceptions, looked completely lost reading Pittsburgh's defense, couldn't get the protection calls right, and basically turned what should have been a competitive game into a complete disaster. Cameras kept cutting to Shedeur on the sideline, helmet on, just standing there with this look on his face. People around him said you could feel something building, like everyone knew something was about to break loose. Gabriel comes off the field after another terrible performance, heads toward the tunnel with teammates trying to say the right things, coaches avoiding eye contact, the usual post-game misery routine, but this time was different. Inside the locker room, Gabriel apparently tried to address the offense, tried to rally the guys despite what everyone just watched happen. Sources are saying he went into the typical quarterback speech mode, talking about staying together, trusting the process, learning from mistakes, all that standard stuff you hear after a loss. That's when Shedeur stepped up. Not loud, not emotional, completely under control, but every word hit like a hammer. Trust the process. That's what he said to Gabriel, looking him dead in the eyes. The process is broken. You can't lead a team when you can't even lead yourself. The room went completely silent. Veterans who've been in this league for over a decade said they've never seen a rookie quarterback command a moment like that. Shedeur didn't raise his voice, didn't lose his composure, but every single word cut through Gabriel's credibility like a knife. One offensive lineman told people close to him that it wasn't disrespect, it was truth, and nobody else had the courage to say it. Even defensive players were nodding, and that's huge because defense usually stays out of offensive drama. Here's what makes this so significant. This wasn't some spontaneous explosion. People inside the building are saying Shedeur has been watching this disaster unfold for weeks now. He stayed quiet through Gabriel's week 1 nightmare, kept his mouth shut during the week 2 collapse, maintained his professionalism through the week 3 embarrassment. But Sunday night against Pittsburgh was apparently the breaking point. This wasn't just a backup getting frustrated about playing time. This was a territorial claim, a leadership assertion, and everyone in that locker room understood exactly what was happening. Shedeur Sanders just announced that he's taking over this team whether the coaching staff likes it or not. The aftermath started immediately, and it's still unfolding as we speak. One source told reporters that it wasn't trash talk, it was leadership, and that Gabriel's been given every opportunity and keeps sinking the ship. Within minutes, players were texting family, agents were reaching out to media contacts, and the whispers turned into full-blown shouts. By the time the team bus left the Heinz Field parking lot, social media was already exploding with leaked details. Shedeur's name was trending nationally within 30 minutes. Fans started posting devastating statistical comparisons showing Gabriel's 9 turnovers through 4 games versus Shedeur's perfect preseason passer rating. One tweet that went absolutely viral said Shedeur could have won that game in his sleep, and it got over 800,000 views overnight. Another one gaining massive traction said this isn't a quarterback battle anymore. It's an organizational cover-up protecting a terrible decision. Cleveland's fan base, which has been tortured by quarterback failures for literally decades, finally found a unified voice demanding change. But it gets even crazier because players started dropping hints on social media almost immediately. A veteran offensive lineman posted an Instagram story around midnight Sunday showing a picture of Shedeur lacing up his cleats with the caption "Leaders lead differently." Within an hour, the Browns' social media ecosystem completely erupted with speculation and theories about what's really going on. Another defensive starter allegedly liked tweets criticizing Gabriel's performance before quickly unliking them, but it was too late because screenshots were everywhere. The message came through loud and clear. The locker room's allegiance is shifting dramatically toward the backup quarterback, and there's nothing the coaching staff can do to stop it. Kevin Stefanski tried to do damage control during the post-game press conference with all the typical coach speak about staying patient and trusting the process, but sources are saying ownership isn't buying it anymore. Jimmy Haslam reportedly called an emergency late-night meeting with Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry, demanding concrete answers about why Shedeur remains on the bench despite Gabriel's catastrophic failures. Word is that Haslam's frustration reached a boiling point, questioning the coaching staff's evaluation process, the organizational decision-making, and their commitment to winning. This goes way beyond just a quarterback controversy. This is an organizational reckoning moment for the Cleveland Browns. People familiar with the situation are suggesting that Haslam is exhausted watching his carefully constructed championship window closing before they even get a chance to compete. His draft night decision to select Shedeur Sanders, despite coaching resistance, now looks prophetic instead of impulsive. Meanwhile, Stefanski finds himself in an impossible position, trying to defend a starting quarterback whose performance is completely indefensible while managing an owner who's increasingly vocal about his preference for Sanders. Let's talk about the actual performance, because all the drama means nothing without context. Gabriel's 4-game stretch is a historic disaster. 9 turnovers, 54% completion percentage, and the offense is averaging just 12.5 points per game. That's absolutely unacceptable at this level. On the flip side, Shedeur's preseason performance showed exceptional capabilities. 0 interceptions across 87 attempts, commanding presence in the pocket, orchestrating touchdown drives against starting defenses, showing poise under pressure that separates legitimate franchise prospects from developmental projects. Beyond just the statistics, when you look at the personalities involved, there's a deeper dynamic at play here. Gabriel represents the traditional development path, the patient quarterback progression model. He was a 4-year collegiate starter expecting a structured opportunity, fair competition, and gradual increases in responsibility. Instead, he's drowning publicly while the backup quarterback is reportedly demonstrating superior capabilities every single day in practice. Sources are claiming that Gabriel's confidence is completely shattered, his decision-making is hesitant, and his leadership presence has evaporated. You cannot fake quarterback authority. Either your teammates believe in you or they don't, and right now, absolutely nobody believes Gabriel represents Cleveland's solution. On the other hand, Shedeur personifies the new era of quarterback development. He's the son of legendary Deion Sanders, benefiting from a lifetime of football immersion, arriving not just as a prospect, but as a complete brand with championship pedigree and unshakable confidence. His locker room confrontation wasn't some disrespectful outburst. It was a calculated assertion establishing the leadership hierarchy, and sources say veterans immediately recognized the authenticity. This kid doesn't just talk confidence, he embodies it naturally. His willingness to directly challenge a struggling starter demonstrates psychological fortitude that separates future franchise cornerstones from talented prospects who lack that competitive edge. The entire mood in Cleveland shifted dramatically Sunday night. Players know it, fans know it, media knows it, national analysts know it. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a future consideration anymore. He's an immediate necessity. After publicly confronting Dillon Gabriel in front of the entire roster, he sent an unmistakable message that the waiting period is over. One anonymous teammate told a reporter late Sunday evening that was the moment Shedeur became the alpha, and that he's not here to compete with Dillon Gabriel. He's here to take his job. Another source claimed multiple veterans approached Shedeur, privately expressing their support and acknowledging the uncomfortable truth that nobody else had the courage to say publicly. The locker room dynamics transformed instantly from awkward coexistence to open rebellion against the coaching staff's quarterback management. Don't think this resolves easily, because the pressure surrounding this organization is about to intensify exponentially. Every practice rep is going to face microscopic examination. Every comment Stefanski makes will be scrutinized for hidden meaning. Every front office statement will be analyzed for political positioning. Shedeur wears these responsibilities like championship armor because his mission extends beyond just winning the starting position. He's determined to prove ownership correct despite coaching resistance, vindicate his father's legacy, and establish himself as a generational talent rather than just a nepotism beneficiary. This situation is reshaping coaching authority dynamics throughout professional football. Suddenly, every organization is examining player empowerment boundaries, quarterback competition protocols, and leadership hierarchy structures. Stefanski's credibility is hanging by a thread right now. Either he acknowledges reality and makes the quarterback change, or he stubbornly defends the failing starter and risks complete locker room rebellion. There's no middle ground here, and his next decision could potentially determine his career trajectory. The situation is unfolding rapidly. The Browns are scrambling desperately, veterans are demanding accountability, and the coaching staff is allegedly modifying practice rotations and increasing Shedeur's first team repetitions. The actual resolution remains uncertain, but when the team reconvenes on Tuesday, everything will be different. Gabriel's authority has been obliterated. Shedeur's influence is ascending. It's just practice fields and one individual carrying franchise expectations amid unprecedented circumstances. Jimmy Haslam's draft night gamble selecting Shedeur Sanders suddenly looks brilliant instead of reckless. The kid didn't just challenge a struggling teammate, he seized organizational control through an authentic demonstration of leadership. The question now is whether Cleveland can recover their competitive possibilities, and the answer is only if the coaching staff acknowledges the obvious reality. That Steelers game didn't just expose quarterback inadequacy, it revealed that they have a franchise quarterback waiting for his opportunity. This goes beyond typical backup impatience. This is an organizational identity crisis requiring immediate resolution. What happens next is going to define this franchise for years to come. Do they stick with the plan and continue trotting Gabriel out there, hoping something magically clicks? Or do they acknowledge what everyone already sees and hand the keys to Shedeur Sanders? The locker room has already made their choice clear. The fans have made their choice clear. Even ownership seems to be leaning toward making a change. The only holdouts appear to be the coaching staff, and their resistance is looking more stubborn than strategic at this point. Think about the position Stefanski is in right now. He's got a locker room that's lost faith in his starting quarterback. He's got an owner demanding answers and questioning his evaluation process. He's got a backup quarterback who just publicly challenged his starter and gained veteran support in the process. He's got national media destroying his quarterback decision-making, and he's got fans who are absolutely fed up with another failed quarterback experiment. The walls are closing in, and every day that passes without a change makes his position more untenable. The psychological aspect of this cannot be overstated. Gabriel has to walk back into that building knowing his backup just called him out in front of everyone. He has to practice knowing veterans are questioning whether he deserves to be out there. He has to prepare for the next game knowing that one more mistake could be the final straw. That's an impossible mental burden for any quarterback, let alone one who's already struggling with confidence and decision making. Meanwhile, Shedeur gets to walk in with his head held high, knowing he just established himself as the alpha in that locker room. The momentum has completely shifted, and momentum in football is everything. From a pure football perspective, the decision should be obvious. Gabriel has shown nothing that suggests he can turn this around. 9 turnovers in 4 games isn't a slump, it's a pattern. The offense has been completely ineffective with him at the helm. They're not competitive in games, they should be winning. The division is slipping away. Every week that passes with Gabriel under center is another week wasted in what could be a competitive season. Shedeur, on the other hand, has shown everything you want to see from a young quarterback. The preseason performance was exceptional. The practice reports have been consistently positive. The intangibles are off the charts. The leadership is evident. What more do you need to see? The national conversation around this situation is fascinating because it's exposing larger questions about coaching authority, player empowerment, and organizational decision-making in modern professional football. Can a rookie backup quarterback essentially force a coaching change through public confrontation? Should veterans have more say in who their quarterback is? How much power should ownership exert over personnel decisions? These aren't easy questions, but they're being debated in every front office and coaching room across the league right now because everyone is watching what happens in Cleveland. One thing that's absolutely clear is that Shedeur Sanders has announced his arrival in the most dramatic way possible. This wasn't a quiet rookie keeping his head down and waiting his turn. This was a bold statement that he believes he's the best option for this team right now, and he's not afraid to say it publicly. That level of confidence either comes from supreme self-belief or complete delusion, and everything we've seen from Shedeur suggests it's the former. He's been preparing for this moment his entire life, raised by one of the greatest athletes in American sports history, taught how to handle pressure, expectations, and adversity from childhood. This moment didn't overwhelm him. He rose to meet it. The Browns organization now faces a defining decision that will echo for years. Do they empower their coaching staff to make the football decision they believe is right, even if it contradicts what the locker room, fans, and ownership want? Or do they acknowledge that sometimes the eye test, veteran voices, and public sentiment reveal truths that coaching evaluation processes miss? There's no perfect answer, but there is a right one, and every day they delay making it damages their credibility further. As we move forward this week, watch everything that comes out of Cleveland. Watch the practice participation reports. Watch Stefanski's press conferences for any subtle shifts in language. Watch player social media for continued hints about locker room sentiment. Watch ownership statements for signs of increased pressure. The situation is far from over, and the next chapter could be written at any moment. What we witnessed Sunday night wasn't just a locker room argument. It was the beginning of a complete organizational transformation, and Shedeur Sanders just positioned himself at the center of it all. Dillon Gabriel's time as the unquestioned starter is over. The only question now is how long it takes for the coaching staff to accept that reality and make the change that everyone else already sees as inevitable. This is going to be fascinating to watch unfold, and you can bet we'll be covering every single development as it happens.